What's going on with video games? That's what I want to know. What about you, Alanis?
Me too. It is an interesting and lazy era.
Definitely is. I'm your host, Tommy West. Joining me is my co-host, Alanis Maxim. And please leave a like and a comment down below. It helps us out a lot. Now with that, we're going to get into our topic for this show, which is the current state of video games and the future of video games, with releases such as Gotham Knights, Saints Row, Cyberpunk, and many others that have been disappointing, to say the least. Our question is, what's going on with these AAA games that are supposed to come out and feel AAA? Now, Alanis, what do you think's going on?
I think for the most part, it's a sign of the times now that everything's online, things can be patched. It pushes companies, I think, to release games when they're not entirely finished a lot of the time. Sometimes there's some exceptions, like you get places that will, like example, Larian Studios, who have early access to Baldur's Gate 3, which is basically a giant public beta test. I think some companies take that direction so they can actually release a complete game, but then you get a lot, especially on console. I say this because most of my experience is with console. I can't think of many games I've got brand new on launch day or around launch day that haven't had a day one patch and haven't had another patch within a week to fix things that are broken. Unless it's a Nintendo. It's a lazy time for gaming and developers, I think, because they have the resources that they can fix things, but as we've seen, sometimes it breaks things beyond redemption, almost.
See, I think that that's a warranted argument for games like Cyberpunk and Saints Row. But with Gotham Knights that just released, there is no patch to fix the problems that game has. That game is just a bad game. It's not like, yeah, sure, that apparently there could be more NPCs. It could feel a little bit more fleshed out. The frame rate could be picked up, like the graphics could be lifted or whatever. Apparently it looks awful. But it's the moment-to-moment gameplay. It's the combat. It's the everything in that game. And that's what worries me, is that, like, not even Warner Brothers Montreal, I think, that did this, who made Batman Arkham Origins, and that was their last game up until now, which was 2011 or something like that. They've had all this time to gestate this game and make it something really special, and it's been released in this state, and it just goes. This is just part of the course, basically, for 2022 at the moment. Like, every game I've been excited about, even in 2021 with Cyberpunk's release, has been riddled with problems. Like, I haven't bought a new game, except, like, I've had a go for Horizon Forbidden West. That seems solid. You know, it seems like those big tentpole Sony games like Ratchet and Clank and stuff have come out really well. Like, Resident Evil seems to be okay. But, like, there's these other studios, like, I mean, you're looking at people that created The Witcher releasing a game that was just beyond broken. You're seeing Warner Brothers Montreal cancel Gotham Knights from older consoles just recently, like scrapping it, that it was going to be out on PS4 and stuff, and it's coming to next gen only. And the reason they scrapped it is because it was doing the same thing that Cyberpunk was doing, which it wasn't able to even correctly run on the PS4 and stuff. So they were just like, let's scrap that. It wasn't to take advantage of the PS5's graphics. It's because that's the only thing, or the Xbox Series X's graphics. It's because they're the only consoles that would run this piece of shit game. You know what I mean? So, and also, it apparently dips below 30 frames. It's not locked. Apparently, it even dips into the high teens. And they also said that if you get the PC version, the graphics on that you can't even get it to 60, and it apparently can't even run on the best of rigs.
It's I think it's going to tank, especially on PC, considering that. Because I mean, I play console, I play PC. I'm not too fussed about the higher things PC do, like the frame rate. Like, I'm happy with 60 to 120 frames per second. I think above that, and it starts to get unnoticeably different. But I know a lot of people that will specifically have push as much FPS as they can out of their computer, and they even 60 frames per second, they'll just turn their nose up and go, "This is rubbish. Like, I'm not going to play this." It feels like they really shot themselves in the foot here. Like, not so much like maybe gameplay, but definitely performance. I think they should have pushed back further. I don't think they were ready to release this.
It's crazy though, man, that they weren't ready to release this. I mean, we've been waiting like what, 8 years? Like how long has it been? Like, and it still isn't even close to being ready. Like, I don't get it, man. Like, they took the combat from Arkham Knight, Arkham City, and all these things, and they simplified it and made it worse. Apparently, the story is thin. Apparently, there's a lot more busy work than there is interesting stuff to do. It's an open world game that feels too big because there's nothing to do. But when a game relies so heavily on combat and the combat's terrible, what the fuck's going to happen? You know what I mean? And yeah, like, I don't know. I can't think of. It's almost like people will say, "But what about the pandemic and stuff?" But like, that game was in production before the pandemic and after the pandemic. We are kind of over the pandemic. That's what everyone reckons anyway. But you know, and it's still not there. You know, I don't know, man. I'm just worried that this is leading to what happened. As I said, we've spoken about this before. What happened with the Atari and the ET game and the video game crash? Because it wasn't that there wasn't games. It was that there were too many games coming out and there were too many trash games. And people were sick of spending their money or owning consoles for something that was fucking rubbish. You know what I mean? So, like, everything's heading towards online. Everything's heading towards MMO. Everything's heading towards loot boxes. Everything's heading towards fucking the block technology, whatever you want to fucking call it, NFTs. Everything's moving towards Fortnite, Battle Royale. Like, I'm just worried that the single player game is gonna go away eventually. And they're realizing that, you know, things like Destiny and Raids and all those games are what sells. That's what the customers look like they want because it's such a popular thing at the moment, all those things. So, I mean, what do you think about that?
I think at least we'll still have Raid Shadow Legends, who don't sponsor us.
You always rely on Raid Shadow Legends. They show up when they're not even invited, man. Yeah. So
I don't think we'll ever see the end of single player games, but I think it's kind of been a plateau of, and I think Arkham Knights probably suffers here, where something that could be a really good single player game has lost substance because they focused on online. Like, it should be, I think, an even balance, even if not more focus on campaign a lot of the time. Like, it killed Mass Effect Andromeda. That was another good example where if they focused on that rather than the multiplayer, and I believe they're also working on Anthem at the time, which is another multiplayer online game predominantly, it would have done better. And history repeats itself there over and over, and it's weird that no one learns from that mistake. And it's seemingly getting worse, as you've said.
See, this is making me question the whole Ubisoft Assassin's Creed target that they're trying to do at the moment, you know, which is like they want to make a smaller Assassin's Creed game more akin to what Assassin's Creed was in the Ezio Brotherhood era, you know, that sort of era. And it's set in Baghdad, and they said they want to simplify and they don't want to make it so big and expansive like the current like Valhalla was and things like that. But I'm worried that they're going to scale it back to the point of like, well, it is just fetch quests. It is just busy work. The story is very thin because the story was super thin in the first Assassin's Creed game. It was all busy work. It was all the same thing over and over again. Like spy on somebody, open up the viewpoint, whatever, kill them. You know what I mean? Like overly hero conversation, do the same thing, do the same thing. And then they kind of built on that with Assassin's Creed 2. And I'm hoping they just don't pull it back too far and try to use it, the excuse of taking it back to its roots as being, let's not spend the hundreds of millions of dollars this takes to create and time it takes, and let's pump this thing out like just as a cash grab kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of games now that have got problems. And like the only game that has, as much as Rockstar Games gets shit, the only game that I can see on the horizon that is open world sense looking promising is Grand Theft Auto 6 with all the leaked stuff we've seen. That feels like it's capturing what is good about open world, third person, action story driven games. And I'm just hoping that they stick to what they know how to do best and it doesn't just become Grand Theft Auto 6 online. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts anyway?
I think that, and the other games I kind of open world that I'm hopeful for is Starfield, I think it's called, the Bethesda space game. Like Bethesda always have glitches and problems, but when they release a one-player game, they release a single-player game. There's no online component. So I think they're one of the ones that'll be reliable with your Fallouts and your Elder Scrolls and whatever they release. Whilst glitchy, you're still going to get some consistency where it's not just online. Yeah. But, Rockstar and Bethesda are two of the only ones that I think have realized that people still want to play games by themselves. And I hope Rockstar don't slip there because they've shown signs. Not as bad as some, but they've kind of.
I'm a big believer now that Red Dead Redemption 2 is Rockstar Games' best work ever. Like,
absolutely.
Story-wise, world-wise, character-wise, everything about that game is the best Rockstar Games game. And I hope that what we get from Grand Theft Auto 6 is where they were heading with Red Dead Redemption 2. I know that they're like sort of Red Dead Redemption 2 is more of a serious Western cowboy setting. It still has comedy moments in it and stuff, but it's not got the same message behind Grand Theft Auto, which is to like make fun of pop culture, make fun of political stuff going on, to like, you know, it's supposed to be sort of a play on America and how things go there, and it's taking the piss out of America, you know what I mean? But I'm worried that we're not going to get that experience that we got with Red Dead Redemption 2 because they might feel like Grand Theft Auto is less serious than Red Dead Redemption, and that's how they want to take it. But I really want them to go in that direction with Grand Theft Auto. This gets me to my next question. What do you think is going to happen with Hogwarts Legacy?
I'm hoping it doesn't go the way of Gotham Knights. Like, I'm not super invested in that game, but I know a lot of people are, including yourself. And it's another one that's been pushed back. And I just hope that it doesn't go the same way. And it's like, why was this pushed back when it's still broken or just isn't up to scratch of what it should be?
It's not Warner Brothers Montreal. It's a completely different team, but it's still Warner Brothers being released under the Warner Brothers banner. I don't know, man. I can't believe that they let Gotham Knights through like this. I can't believe the creators of Gotham Knights let this go. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you just take the combat from Batman Arkham Knight, transfer it to the new characters, make it fun and engaging? Like, things I've heard is like, Batgirl, you can't even glide when you first start the game. You have to unlock it. So you have to grapple everywhere until you unlock it. And then apparently you have to like start the game in the middle of the story to be like, okay, now you have to go back to your crafting bench. And it's like, what? Like, I want to do the mission though. You know what I mean? So it's got all these big stupid problems that plague it: bad writing, bad voice acting. I don't know, man. I'm hoping Hogwarts Legacy doesn't let down, because God of War is like the only thing coming out this year now that, for me, I have kind of an interest in. Like, my PlayStation 5 is getting so little use. There's just nothing except the games I do want to play. They're all ridiculously priced for digital consoles. Like, I'm not paying $124 for fucking Horizon. You can suck my dick, PlayStation. You know what I mean? I'm not paying $124 for a game. I'm just not. I won't do it. I've never done it, and I won't do it. Like, fuck that, man. That's expensive, you know? And Gotham Knights, I'm glad I waited, man, because I was going to pre-order that, and that was $109 for a garbage-ass game. Saints Row was $100, and that game I still haven't played because I've seen how much of a trash pile it is. So it's like, every game I've started looking forward to has just been a letdown, and it's been a letdown after letdown after letdown. And I just felt like we needed to discuss it, you know, because it's worrying when all the games that are supposed to come out that are meant to be big blockbuster games or good games aren't good. I don't know, man. I don't know. Do you think that maybe games are completely moving away from what they once were, which was like, I'm starting to look at the golden age of gaming as like between 2006 and 2018. You know what I mean? Like, less, you know, 2006 till 2015, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, back then, you had like all these amazing games coming out. It was like non-stop. I just remember never not having something to play, or there'd always be something coming out new. There'd be 3 games coming out at once that you were like, fucking hell, I can't afford all 3 at once. You know what I mean? And then now it's just like, oh yeah, 6 months, I'll wait. I don't know, man. I'm just worried because I love gaming so much, and I'm worried that because I'm not starting to lose interest in gaming, but because I'm not picking up every game just at the drop of a hat like I used to, and I'm waiting for reviews, and I'm seeing how bad some of these games are coming out. Like, dude, I picked up Deadpool back in the day, and that game got shit on, and I love Deadpool. So it's not like, you know, I don't want to play it because it looks bad or anything. Like, Deadpool, I knew wasn't going to be great, but it was fun. Gotham Knights doesn't look fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Saints Row didn't look fun. It looked annoying. It looked buggy. It looked like a mess. Cyberpunk, while it seems like it's picked itself up and fixed itself, and you love it, and people swear by it and say it's a great game, I just haven't been able to get into it. I don't know if it's the first-person element. I don't know if it's the RPG element. I don't know if it's the plot. I don't know what that doesn't gel with me, but I've tried multiple times to get into that game, and it just doesn't work for me. Basically, all I've got to look forward to now that have been announced at the moment is like Assassin's Creed Mirage. He's hoping. God of War. I don't know. Sony's keeping up. Spider-Man 2 is going to be great, I'm sure. I just don't see them letting us down with that, and I don't know what to expect from Wolverine either.
Yeah, it's I reckon it'll be good. Just the artwork's terrible. That hillbilly looking Wolverine.
Yeah, at least he didn't look like fucking real life Sonic.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's basically really what I wanted to just discuss, man. Is what is going on, and I didn't want to make it too long. I didn't want to make it too short. I just think there's a lot of people that might be thinking the same way as me. I can't be the only one in the world that's thinking like, is there something going on? Like, are we going the way that we think we are with games? Where, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just worried.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your closing thoughts on all of this?
I'm hoping it's a phase, and I'm hoping maybe this fallout from the pandemic, like a lot of these things were made during, maybe there'll be an uptick, I hope, in the next year or so. Maybe, I hope. Yeah, it's been an interesting time for gaming in general, especially from a console front, with a generation of consoles that no one owns because you can't get them.
It's been 2 years, man. I can't believe it, you know?
Yeah. And you still have to pre-order a PS5 or an Xbox X Series because you just can't get them.
I'm pretty sure they're just starting to sort of like trickle onto the market shelves now. I saw an article saying it was like a stupid like thing where it was like, it is now 4 times more likely you'll find PlayStation 5s on the shelf or something. I don't know. But I think that's all slowly starting to recover. But yeah, it has been a weird generation, man, because it almost feels like they've released it ready to go. The pandemic was already happening, so they were already releasing it. And then they were like, well, no one can get them because we can't make them. So let's just pump the brakes on any plans we had of what we were releasing in that time and wait for people to be able to buy these consoles, and we will announce things from there. You know what I mean? Because PlayStation have been awfully quiet. And that either means that we're in for a bad time or we're waiting on something big. You know what I mean? Like PlayStation are either holding back all their cards till they can be like, oh, we've got this, and this, and this coming out. And we're like, whoa, you know what I mean? Or PlayStation are like, I don't know, what do you reckon? You know what I mean?
I hope they're holding back on something and something big is coming. I really do.
Same for Xbox, man. I hope the same thing for Xbox, because right now, except for Starfield, what's Xbox got coming to it? That's big. Think about it. It's really big.
Yeah, not a hell of a lot. But I think thinking about it as well, I think once Unreal 5 drops, I think or hope that's where we may see that uptick.
The problem with that is it takes years to develop games on Unreal Engine 5, decent games. So how long are we going to be waiting till this is a thing, you know?
Well, I know. I'll assume it'll be the same for Sony. I haven't looked too deep into it, but I know Xbox have, I think, at least 10 games they're working on as we speak. So I'd say Sony would have to as well. So I think maybe that's the silence. Maybe that's what we're waiting for.
Well, I'm hoping so, man. I'm hoping so, because you can hear a pin drop at the moment, you know? But yeah, it's like things like Halo and shit just fumbled out the gate. Like, seemed to start off strong and just fumbled. Yeah, man, it's a rough time. I mean, Xbox has Game Pass going for it, but again, they released like how much it's earned so far figure, and apparently it wasn't a good number. Like, apparently it sounds big and impressive. It's like in the billions, but when you do the math, it turns out that everyone that is on Game Pass, that means it's like roughly works out that people are paying $8 each, which is not enough. You know, that's not enough. So I don't know, man. Gaming's in an interesting state with the subscription things and with the Activision Blizzard buyout, with PlayStation pretty much warring with Xbox, with just silence, no games coming out broken. It's just a very interesting time. I mean, to end it, I want to give a quick shout out. I haven't played the game, but a quick shout out to A Plague Tale Requiem, because that seems to be a beautiful game, getting great scores, getting great word of mouth, and it's good to see a game come out like that amongst all the bullshit, because a game that wasn't even on my radar is now a game that I'm probably looking to pick up and give a go, because there's nothing else out.
I noticed that as well, and I'm actually thinking of looking into the first one. So I've gone, hey.
See, you're lucky. You get it on Game Pass. You get the new one on Game Pass. We have to buy it on PlayStation. So you've got both Plague Tales on Game Pass for free, basically.
I might have to look into that after we do this.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I'm telling you, it looks like a great game.
And that way, John Arthur Morgan can never die.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't finished it yet.
Well, shout out to Plague Tale. Disrespect Gotham City, you know, Gotham Knights, fucking shit Batman game. Let's hope for the best, everyone, those gamers. And that'll do it for today. I've been your host, Tom Guest. And joining me, as always, has been my co-host, Alanus Maximus. Now, please subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a comment and a like. It would help us out a lot. We'd love you all for it. Now, you guys go download Gotham Knights and have a shit time, all right?
Yeah.
I know I'm not gonna.